Hey, it's Friday afternoon, and I decided that today I was going to do a vlog instead of a blog posting, speak instead of write. And what I promised in my last post was that I would tell you who has been both counsel and companionship for me in desert places. And I am going to tell you about who that person is. But first, what I want to say is that my experience of these desert places is not really a sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm not kind of experience. Certainly, there are desert experiences, desert circumstances that are more excruciating, more intense than others. Absolutely. I think that's true for all of us. And at least for me, this sort of wilderness terrain has become pretty familiar. Like I feel pretty acclimated to it. And that doesn't mean that I'm a martyr or that I expect things to always be difficult. Actually, I have come to really love this desert space in many ways. In part, it's way more complicated than this, but in part because it is in fact in the desert that I find counsel and companionship in deeply profound ways, unfound often in ease and maybe places where I'm not paying as much attention to everything that's going on around me. So I kind of live there a lot of the time by choice, but not always. And so I want to talk to you about one woman who has been both counsel and companionship for me in desert places that have been really, really difficult. Her name is Hagar. She is a narrative in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew scriptures. Her story shows up in both Genesis 16 and 23. And Genesis 16 is my favorite of the two texts. I love them both, but that's the story I spend the most time in. And I'm not going to tell you all the details of her story at all. I just want to talk to you a little bit about what she has offered me. So in regards to counsel, the things that Hagar has said to me are, first, Rana, you can survive this. It's not fun, and the extremity level is pretty severe, and you'll survive. You will find water, you will find what you need, and you will make it. And so will your kids. And she knows that. Hagar knows that story and offers that wisdom to me. And the second thing that she has said to me, that she counsels me with, the wisdom that she provides, is to remind me that God, the divine, is going to show up in the wilderness. Probably in surprising ways that I don't expect. Her story is all about that, really profoundly. And so when I spend time with her, she reminds me that I need to be watching and aware and expecting that in fact the divine exists in and around and for me. Her companionship, gosh, she has just been like a steady friend to me. I have gone to her story again and again and again when I have found myself in difficult places. And what I experience in that narrative is a woman who understands what it feels like to leave one desert and find herself in another one. What it feels like to be alone. And she reminds me that I'm not. Her story reminds me that she gets how it is that I feel, and she's with me. I love that. She feels like a friend to me. And I'm deeply grateful for the places that she has shown up, the times that she has shown up in my life again and again. So Hagar, that's my example of a person who's been both counsel and companionship for me. And as you can see, she's not a living person. It's a narrative. And so what I want to invite you to is thinking about where you might be finding, or where you might find counsel and companionship in the desert that's not an actual person, What are the narratives that speak profoundly to you? What are the texts, whether sacred or secular, that talk to you, that offer you support and encouragement and come alongside you as friends and companions? Maybe that's a film or music or poetry or a piece of art. Oh my gosh, I just feel like there are so many places in which we can find that nourishment, that counsel, that companionship when we most need it. And when that shows up, regardless of the form, whether that's in a living, breathing person, or it's in a story, or it's in a song, or maybe it's someone we knew at one time who now has passed away, or someone who lives a long ways away from us. I mean, there's so many ways that I could go with this. Whenever those faces or those experiences touch you and are meaningful for you, that is counsel and companionship. And I would go so far as to say that's God, that's the divine showing up in wilderness places when you most need it.